What is good, everyone? Welcome to today's trade recap. Today is March 2nd, 2026, and first day of the month, I'm going to go over the beautiful short I took. Little scalp to start the Monday right, start the month right. Obviously, we had some war news, which is unfortunate, but for traders and investors, it was pretty nice as it's going to help us get out of that range and bring some more volatility and volume into the market. So yeah, let's get right into it. All right, so this was the trade I took today, but first let's just start off with the daily time frame. When the market opened, what went on. So today I was originally leaning bearish, and let me just go in the 4-hour time frame and show you guys. All right, so as you can see from the 4-hour chart, we are clearly delivering from this high. We are disrespecting bullish gaps, and we are respecting these bearish gaps right here. And one of the other reasons I was actually coming into bearish of the day is because right here we had this SMT, right? So NQ didn't sweep these, but if we switch over to ES, we can see that we clearly swept these lows right here. So ES ended up sweeping that low and the NASDAQ didn't. And if you guys do not know what SMTs are, I'm going to go ahead and make a video on that. Also about fair value gaps, NWOGs, how to establish daily biases, and etc. Those are all coming on the way, so stay tuned for that. Okay, so as the day opened, as price shot up, we can see we're on the 15-minute time frame now, and now price immediately displaced incredibly high. So right now, what am I looking for? And as the market opens, we can see we clearly displaced really high. And now what am I looking for? I had my original bias of being bearish, but since we had such high displacement up here, what am I looking for right now? This new weak opening gap to get filled. So this is the next target, and after that, I can see that we could get some potential long opportunities. All right, so here I was looking for those longs, seeing if we can potentially hit that. And what happens? Price keeps ripping up, and we start displacing, we start bouncing up and down a little. And right here, actually, there was a 15-minute gap created. So yeah, we actually had that 15-minute gap created, which is a good move if you were able to take that. Good job. However, with different rules and everything, I think it would have came back and been break even for me. I didn't end up taking that trade. However, that was definitely an option for some people. However, one of the big things I did notice is that we had this SMT right here, but if we hop over to ES, clear that ES swept those highs. However, on NQ, we didn't. However, the SMT really didn't play too much in my mind just because it was a new weak opening gap. And through backtesting and through my strategy, usually what I've seen happen is that SMTs don't really matter with NWOGs or NDOGs. Essentially, they fail a lot, and this is due to it just becoming an imbalance, right? So the same way ES is going to have to fill the imbalance, NASDAQ is going to have to fill that imbalance too. So they can work sometimes. However, whenever I see an NWOG and I'm looking at SMT2, I really don't give the SMT too much power because I've seen a lot of them fail. They do work sometimes. However, I'm just not too confident in taking that just because of multiple backtesting sessions and seeing these play out. And the more time you spend on the markets and the more time you spend on the charts, you're going to find that there are different rules and different strategies that work for you. For me, if I see an NWOG with SMTs at the top, I am not too convinced that they are going to play out just because I've seen a lot of failures. So take that how you like, but that just works for me. All right, so back to the market. I'm still very bullish, and I want to see this NWOG get hit. And right about here, we actually did create a 30-second change of delivery. As we can see, this swept this. And then we also had this SMT at this low right here. So this was all just further conviction that we were going to continue bullish. And then, all right, boom, we had this 30-second right here. And yeah, we just had that 30-second inverse. And boom, right here was a good entry, to be honest. I mean, this looks like a clean trade. There was a nice 30-second inversion. However, I did not take this just because there wasn't too much conviction that we were going to close up from this price just because of this gap right here. And if anything, if I would have taken this, I would have probably moved my break even and hit break even. But what ended up happening is that price ended up pushing, and it actually closed out right here. I would have probably taken break even on this trade. However, that was just my model. This is just my strategy. But if you did end up holding, that's a nice TP right there. And yeah, so after this, once it swept that new week opening gap, what am I thinking? What's going on in my brain? I have now no conviction that price is going to continue higher, right? I see price, we finally swept that high, and now going back to my original bias, what do I want to see price do? We saw the SMT in play, clearly pushing up, and now I want to see price rebalance and come back down, right? Especially with all the war news and all the conflicts going in the world, I want to see this go down and push down all the way down here. So after sweeping those highs, what am I looking for? I'm looking for shorts, right? So as price moves on, what happens? So what happens, boom, we create this 30-second gap and price displaces immediately. And as we also end up creating this SMT right here, which is further convictions that this is going to be a good short. Same thing with ES as we're looking. as it's trying to push through that. However, since we're on the 30-second time frame and things are moving really fast, I really didn't have enough conviction just through this one big candle, and I wanted to wait until this IFVG got close through. So price immediately displays through that first 30-second IFVG, and this was my entry right here. I had my stop loss at the top of this candle and my TP at the unfailed 5 gap right here. I was going to target the original top right here. However, I saw this wick and I wanted to target that. And what ended up happening is that price immediately displays through. And right here, it was a little bit scary because my TP, and to be honest, this was a mistake. I should not have targeted this wick right here, and I should have just targeted this 5-minute gap right here because I would have taken profits and that would have been clean, done easy. However, my TP was down here, and thankfully what ended up happening is that we pushed all the way back up, and I was a little bit scared I was going to get stopped out. However, price was in our favor and we ended up taking TP. And after I took that, that was my one trade of the day. That was around 10:20, which is around perfect time for me. I do not like trading too past 11 as lunch hour comes and there's a lot of less volatility and volume. However, I still was on the charts, and let's just see what ends up happening. So we can clearly see I thought price was going to dump. However, we pushed up a little. And yeah, honestly, it was just kind of chop. Like nothing really happened. We did push up a little, but yeah, pretty stagnant throughout. But that's fine with me. I took my one trade. I'm good. We've got the profits off of that. And yeah, that's all you can ask for. But yeah, that's really it, guys. It was very simple, very easy. Here you can see my entries. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Especially with all the conflict and the war going on, there is going to be a lot of volatility, high spikes. As you can see, look at morning open. We immediately push price so high up, and we're immediately targeting this gap. There is going to be a lot of volatility now, and I had my piece of the pie. I'm good. And yeah, that's the trade I took. We took our profits, everything went well, and boom, we're done for the day. But yeah, if you like this video, please like, comment, follow, subscribe, share. Anything helps. Please be supportive. We're on this journey together. And yeah, have a great day, boys.